No problem. They really was in on him in a hurry. Look at those flags. This is something tonight.
Well, it was a calm day. Then after the rain fell at 4:30, the temperature began dropping and the wind increased in velocity. And our last report from the weather office had the temperature at 3 degrees and the wind out of the northwest at 40 kilometers. There's that screen to Sean Kehoe. It has worked well tonight to the 32-yard line. Garrett Daw brings down the Winnipeg back. But it's a Bomber first down with 17 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in that hurry-up offense.
Well, they love this screen, and I think we're going to see a lot of this in the next quarter. It's a short pattern. It's a possession-type throw for the quarterback. I think we'll see that one.
Hufnagel looking for James Murphy, and again, that ball seemed to sail on. Each time he has attempted to go deep, the ball seems to take off.
Well, I know over the years it's just as easy to throw against it if you throw it on the spiral.
So that's the end of the third quarter with Winnipeg leading. Winnipeg with a big edge statistically, 274 yards to 131 for Calgary. Look at the first downs. The Stampeders with just 6. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have had success moving the football. Calgary has moved it along the ground with Gary Allen, but Rick Johnson has not been able to throw the ball with any great success. The touchdown for Winnipeg in the third quarter, John Hufnagel to Joe Poplawski. Let's take another look at it.
Well executed play, well thrown balls, just out of the reach. You'll see Richie Hall's hands go up, but he just can't quite get it over the top. And Poplawski's a pretty reliable receiver. You know what I think is going to be interesting? We keep talking about Calgary. Things should go their favor with a 6-point lead and the wind at their back, but they haven't shown they can move the football real well yet. So Winnipeg can hang in there. If they can move it a little bit, they still have a shot.
Well, the Blue Bombers face 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 32 of Calgary, as the Blue Bombers are now going against the wind for this fourth quarter.
Well, I think Sykes will get it worked out a little bit this quarter, too.
Hufnagel continues throwing. It's incomplete. James Murphy, the target.
Well, they get a lot of pressure on him. Like he couldn't step and throw that ball properly, and we have an injury. That's what the holdup is. Chris Walby is sitting on the ground holding the guy. He's hurt. They're calling for the training staff. Pat Clayton's out there.
It appears to be Harold Hallman. Chris Walby is still down, and now he is able to get out from under Harold Hallman.
Well, maybe we'll get a good look at him on this replay. Hallman right over the center, goes into Mark Morris. Chris Walby cutting from the outside. That's what the problem is, and that's how he ended up on top of him. They
were looking at the knee of Harold Hallman. He appears to be in a fair bit of pain out there as the Calgary training staff, led by Pat Clayton, look at him, and Cal Murphy is putting on another jacket. Good move, Cal. I wish we had one of those up here.
We could use it tonight. I still think it's his leg. They're holding that leg really steady on the ground.
Well, on Sunday, the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be in Regina to take on the Rough Riders at Taylor Field. You'll see that game on the CBC television network. Both teams coming off a loss in their most recent outing. Hamilton losing 25-23 to Toronto on Sunday. Last Friday, the Rough Riders were beaten 38-14 by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So Harold Hallman, who has been credited with 3 quarterback sacks tonight, is carried off, and they'll miss him in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this is one of those things. You'll see Hallman is fighting with Mark Moores, the center. You see him and Moores having a battle, and coming in from the outside, Chris Walby, and just as that leg was planted, he took the hit on the side of the leg, and that could be a serious injury. We certainly hope not. But Hallman has played very, very well for the Stampeders.
Well, let's see how Bob Cameron fares kicking into that wind.
That's what I like. They put a guy outside.
Sampson. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers retain possession, I believe. Let's see where it comes down.
It's going to be an interesting call. It's going to come down to whether the officials saw him lined up behind him, and if he did, they're going to get the football.
He was indeed an onside kick. An onside kick with Bob Cameron hitting that ball high, and Darrell Sampson grabbing it on the dead run.
That's being prepared. They had a receiver out to both sides, and the way that the punts have been coming back, why not? Look at him out there. There's a guy out there. You can't see him just yet. It's Sampson. Now, when the ball goes up, then he goes. He's onside and eligible to catch this football, and he did. Big, big play, but that's being prepared too, Don.
James Sykes on the Winnipeg first down picks up a couple of yards. Eugene Beliveau has moved into Hallman's tackle position, and Stu Laird is playing that defensive end spot.
So we saw Cameron doesn't punt too well with that wind. That wind is tough.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg. On the 16 now, the handoff with Sean Kehoe inside. Picked up a couple of yards, and I think the intent there was to keep that ball directly in front of the goal posts and give Poplawski a shot at a field goal.
If he makes the first down, that's fine. If he doesn't make the thing, it's just as you say, it's in perfect position for Poplawski to kick the field goal.
Trainer Pat Clayton working on the ankle of Hallman. Initially, we thought it might have been a knee.
That's a good sign. I think that he's just liable to be back in this ball game. When they're taping over the shoe, he feels he can come back.
Poplawski will be attempting this field goal from 21 yards out. He puts it through. The 4th field goal of the night for Joe Poplawski, and he now has 21 points in the ball game. And the Winnipeg Bombers lead it 27-18 with 12:56 left to play. Tomorrow night, Ottawa is at Montreal. Then on Sunday, the top 2 teams in the country meet at CNE Stadium. The Argos hosting the BC Lions. And our telecast from Taylor Field in Regina, the Rough Riders against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, things certainly looked bleak for the Blue Bombers when they fell behind 17-0 in the opening quarter. But they have fought back and now lead 27-18. But Poplawski is going to have a tough time here, kicking into that win from his own 35-yard line.
This one will see his soccer ability come into play. I think if he can drive this, don't want to get it up in the air. If he gets it up in the air, it's not going anywhere.
That's what he's doing, bouncing it along the ground, and Hopkins picks it up at the 40-yard line. Hopkins up to the 47-yard line, and the tackle is made by Roy Bennett.
Even if he kicks it up in the air, it wouldn't have gone any further than that. They would have went up and hung there, and they would have still had the same place for possession. Work on James Sykes with his ankles taped again. He better get him taped. I think he's going to get a workout in the next 10 minutes or so.
Well, they'll be probably giving the ball to Sykes a fair bit in the final 12:44 of this football game, trying to use up time and keep the ball on the ground. Johnson throwing over the middle, incomplete, intended for Jamie Harris.
Had success with that pattern earlier in the second quarter when they clear the receivers out and then bring Harris from the left side of the field all the way across. This time was just a step too far for him. See Hallman up standing there. I believe he'll be back in next series. That's good.
I'm just wondering now that Rick Johnson seems to be having some problems if we'll see Jeff Tedford.
Well, I think they're going to have to give Johnson a chance. It's tough going against the wind, but I think if he doesn't move him in maybe even this series, we're liable to.
2nd and 10. Johnson throwing deep, incomplete, intended for Harris.
Harris had a step on Jefferson, and when he threw the ball out there, it sailed a little bit also. So it's pretty tough putting that ball on target anywhere downfield.
Well, I think Glenn Harper is breathing a sigh of relief now. He'll finally get to kick with the wind at his back.
The only concern he has now is that the snap from center doesn't get knocked out of the air. But he's got to be happy to kick with the wind. That's got to be frustrating. This is his first year in the league. He hasn't seen that kind of wind before.
Kevin Nealis lets it bounce, and it will roll right through the end zone. It goes as a single point for Glenn Harper of 83 yards, and it's now 27-19.
Nealis made no attempt at all to go get it. I think that was the plan. As hard as that ball is going to be traveling with that wind with it, has no chance but to go out of the end zone. They'll give him one to get that ball on the 35.
Nealis attempted to field that ball. He would have been back at about his own 5 or 6 yard line. There's a big difference in operating back there or out at the 35.
When you're going against the wind, every yard is important.
11:45 is the time remaining. An 83-yard single, the longest of the year in the CFL. Allman back in there, wrapping up James Sykes right at the line of scrimmage.
Good job by the Calgary defense at the point of attack, which was outside. That forced Sykes to step back and cut back, and when he did, 99 was waiting on him.
This time Richie Hall is down. It's the left leg of the Calgary defensive back that is of concern for trainer Pat Clayton. Darcy Kopp will come into the game as his replacement. Apparently, Hall is okay. He, however, must go out for at least one play.
Still having a little bit of trouble.
11:17, time left to play. Winnipeg leading 27-19.
So Winnipeg now is looking at a 2nd and 10 situation, going into the wind. See if they can come up with a first down.
The pass was intended for Perry Tuttle. It will be 3rd and 10.
I don't know. Did you see the ball when it went out of Huffman when he released it out of his hand? That ball went end over end, and Huffman doesn't usually throw those kind. That wind just beat it to death. Well, we'll see if Winnipeg put those guys out on side again, just in case. If that ball's going to go up and hang, they're still going to have a shot at it.
Cameron's punting average will take a whipping in this 4th quarter. Again, they have those two players out wide, onside. This time, a better kick by Cameron. Allen brings it back to the 51-yard line. Stopped there by Vernon Paul. That kick traveled 34 yards by Bob Cameron, and Gary Allen returned to 12. Rick Johnson continues as the Calgary quarterback, clicking on just 7 of 16 attempts. At one point earlier in the game, looked as though he was throwing the ball a little better, but he has had problems finding those receivers since.
Well, this is the time for him to do it.
Incomplete, intended for Jamie Harris on the sidelines. He is being covered by Roy Bennett, the corner on that left side. 2nd and 10. Johnson has to start hitting those targets.
Somehow they've got to keep that ball down low, too, because it's coming so hard out of his hand. He's got a strong arm anyway. It's just got that much more velocity on it. You got to get it down where he can, if the ball goes through his hands, he can use his body as a cushion.
2nd and 10, Calgary with 10 minutes remaining in the game. Good protection. Johnson completing the pass to Alexander for a first down at the Winnipeg 37-yard line, and he caught that ball in front of James Jefferson.
Big completion just downfield. Ray Alexander, number 88, is going to come off, drive Jefferson off. Now break to the inside. The ball's down low. Good catch, good reception. First down. Calgary's moving.
Gain of 21. Catch by Ray Alexander. He has scored one of Calgary's 2 touchdowns. Johnson throwing deep, incomplete. Emmanuel Talbert, the intended receiver, he was being covered by Benny Thompson.
Rick Johnson gave a good pump fake. He faked to his left to try to get Scott Flagel away from him and allow Tolbert to go one-on-one with Thompson. But Thompson was equal to the task, got his hands on him. Try to look that safety man off. That's what Rick Johnson tries to do. When he's back in the middle, we say look him off. You're looking at him, he's looking at you. He's going to read the quarterback, and the quarterback will tell him where to go. So you try to get him to go opposite of where you want to throw the football.
To the sidelines, and Roy Bennett was covering over there. Ray Alexander, he deflected that ball out of bounds. It will be 3rd and 10 with 8:59 left to play. J.T. Hay will attempt a field goal. Almost every time that the Stampeders get the ball in this 4th quarter with 8:55 now remaining, they should almost be within J.T. Hay's field goal range.
I think they could put 20 yards on it, they'd still be in his range the way things are tonight. He's got a strong leg anyway.
44-yard field goal attempt is good.
And it landed 5 yards out of the end zone.
So it's a 5-point game. Winnipeg leading with 8:39 left to play. 26,184 souls out at McMahon Stadium tonight, braving the elements. A temperature of 3 degrees. The wind out of the northwest at 45, gusting to 60. And it has been a factor in this football game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers operating against that very strong wind. You have to admire the fans who have sat through this, because that wind is really cold.
Well, you notice they're used to going to football games in Calgary. It might be September, but they're dressed for October. They know what it can happen here.
Well, it comes blowing out of those snow-capped peaks off to the west, and they were forecasting possible snow later tonight. The way that temperature has dropped, you could see some of that white stuff. I remember being here in the spring, late in May, during the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they had a blizzard that closed down the city for a day. Shut down the airport for a couple of days. Sean Kehoe cutting it back inside, and he'll have about 8 yards before being stopped by Anthony Woodson.
Put all the formation to one side of the field. Huffnagel came out like he was going to throw quick, and then he just hands off to Kehoe coming back. It's not bad because the defense will overshift.
Very important for Winnipeg. Try and pick up some first downs. James Sykes looking for the first down. He's got it. Stopped by Garrett Dahl.
Good job of blocking again by Kantner and Nick Pastaya. Again on that sweep that they like to run so much in short yardage situations, and I think that's going to allow the first down. And that's big yardage for Winnipeg.
As you said, James Sykes, in 3 of his 4 seasons in Calgary, ran for better than 1,000 yards. The last 2 years, he's been an insurance policy in Winnipeg, a backup to Willard Reeves. He was on the payroll all of last year, never played a single down. This year, the Bombers again cashing in on that insurance policy. Pass complete to Perry Tuttle for a first down, but there's a penalty flag as Perry Tuttle took the throw in front of Ron Hopkins. And it's offside against Calgary. So the gain will stand.
That's just about the way it's been. Cameron warming up, going out, and coming back at you. So he's getting good practice kicking into that net.
Interesting story with regards to Perry Tuttle at training camp. Tuttle was struggling. He didn't accompany the team on a trip to St. John, New Brunswick for an exhibition game against the Montreal Alouettes. But he has improved with each game, and it's going to be very tough to move out of that wide receiver position. Jeff Boyd or no Jeff Boyd. James Sykes picks up a couple of yards. Harold Hallman was there to make the tackle, but Cal Murphy was telling us this morning that Barry Tuttle came into his office the other day and said, "Coach, I'll play wherever you want to play."
That's good to hear, because, you know, a lot of times wide receivers moving inside, you know, you say they're receivers, but it's a whole different ball game when you're inside. You're getting bounced around a lot. Some guys can handle it, some guys can't.
James Murphy said, "I'd prefer to stay outside, Coach. I like that fast track." It's intercepted. Coming up with the ball is Richie Hall. His second interception of the game, and he is prevented from scoring by Jerome Erdman.
Well, they went back to that underneath pattern, the one that they had success with in the third quarter on throwing an underneath Hopkins, but this time, watch how many red jerseys are around the football. Going to get a good look at it. It's that little delay pattern when it goes out there. Take a look at the red jerseys. 1, 2, 3, and up in the air. Good catch by Hall, one hand, and up he got. Only Jerome Erdman saved the touchdown. Not any doubt about it. I didn't realize Erdman had that much speed, but he showed good speed coming back to catch him.
A return of 43 yards on the interception by Hall, his second of the ball game. Gary Allen, the ball carrier, cutting inside, and he fights to about the 11-yard line, stopped by Darrell Patterson. Richie Hall accepting congratulations over at that Calgary bench. 5'6" and 160 pounds.
Plays a lot bigger, though, doesn't he? Good hitter. Pretty good defensive back, hitting-wise at that side.
Big defensive unit will be tested here. And they respond to the challenge as Stan Mikowas, the nose guard, brought down Gary Allen. A loss in the play of about a yard.
You see the Winnipeg linebackers right here. They're lined up. But this is Scott Flagel. Now, with three people coming into the middle, there isn't a whole lot of room. Can't block them all. The three-man, Darrell Patterson, comes through and makes the hit. First guy to the point of attack. I'm sorry, it's Mikolas is the first guy, but just too many people to block in there. You only have three. They've got five.
J.T. Hay will be attempting another field goal. And this will bring the Stampeders within 2 points if he's successful. 4:30 is